All right, man. This is episode number 76 of the Cozy Corner Cinema. This is being recorded on Monday, September 11th, 2023 at 3:37 p.m. and we're finally back on track and how things should be. Like I said last time, the laptop was out of commission for a couple of days, so I had to kind of improvise, and that's why the last episode was a wee bit shorter than normal. Because, time just wasn't on my side. I didn't have time to do a proper kind of sit down and really talk about these films. You can kind of hear that at the end, right? Just getting distracted by other things. I had other responsibilities that had to be attended to, so that's why I cut it a bit short. But everything seems to be back on track here. Everything is fixed, settled, all that good stuff, man. It's a cloudy day outside today. Every time we think the heat is gone, it just keeps coming right back, man. It's been pretty gnarly, but I think we're finally starting to get into that fall kind of weather, that beautiful time of the year. Start to get a different mindset of what we watch, what we read, what we listen to, and to help us get in a better frame of mind for everything going forward. So with my laptop being out of commission for a couple of days, I have all my stuff on there. I have my all my lists of films to watch, different formats, different styles, all that stuff. And so, with me not being able to access that, I went out of my own way to look up what I had on my TCM watch list, because I have that DVR right now. You can hold up to about 50 hours of recordings on there, and that thing is almost always full. I had recordings going back months, so I figured that it'd be a good time to get some of that stuff out of the way. So I ended up going through a decent amount of titles on there, clearing up a lot of space, and I had a couple of Elvis films on there, man, because I'd only seen a couple of previous Elvis films before, and TCM had been showing some of his work, or some of his acted films, as well as some documentaries, not for the Elvis film, the Baz Luhrmann one. I recorded this a couple months ago, so I think they should show these randomly. But so they had a couple of his films on there, and I noticed that I had some recorded, so I figured, this would be a good time to kind of get through some of these, because I had watched Viva Las Vegas, or I started to watch right before my laptop crapped out on me, so I finished that, and I noticed I had a couple more on there, so I was like, all right, cool. So I watched Double Trouble. And after watching that film, I was thinking to myself, I was like, people always talk about some of Elvis's later films not being so good. So I was looking up some general kind of lists of just what people thought, were his strongest films, were his weakest films. And for the most part, it seems to be a lot of them kind of in the same kind of general idea. Universally across the board, it seemed that King Creole from 1958 is considered to be his strongest work, and apparently Elvis's favorite work of his own. And I wish I had been more aware of that film when I had watched the 1950, when I had done the 1958 episode. I definitely would have made an effort to watch that, because I had been aware of that film, but I think for whatever reason I kind of thought that it probably wouldn't have made the list, because it was like, I like Elvis's films, but none of them I think are great or anything like that. But anyways, when it came to some of his lesser films, there were a couple titles that I always kind of saw in the same titles kind of brought up again and again. Clam Bake and was it Kissin' Cousins, I think it's called. And one of them that I always saw on the lesser of his work, but I happen to have recorded, and I was like, out of curiosity, man, I already watched Viva Las Vegas, I already watched Double Trouble, so why not watch, let me get the year up right here, film with Elvis in the lead from 1968. I think this was one of the last films that he did, because people talk about the pre-war and the post-war kind of Elvis films. 1968, Stay Away Joe, starring Elvis. You got Burgess Meredith, Joan Blondell, funny enough. L.Q. Jones pops up, Ann Seymour. It's quite a cast here, man. And yeah, man, this is a bizarre film, man. It's one of these films where I can't ever talk someone out, nor would I try to talk somebody out if they said this was one of Elvis's weaker films. And it's strange talking about this film, especially in relation to something like Double Trouble, because I'd watched Double Trouble and I was like, all right, that was all right, it's not too bad, and then I watched this film, and this film is, the technical merits are not there. The script is nonsensical, but my gosh, man, this film had a bizarre charm that I'm not even going to try to explain. I mean, the plot of this film is just ridiculous. I mean, you don't watch these films, for really any kind of plot. You watch them for the cast, aside from Elvis. It's like, who else are going to get in these films, and maybe some of the musical numbers, too. Another thing this movie doesn't do very well. Now, I was trying to remember which songs were actually in this and Double Trouble, because I watched them back to back. I don't know which one had him singing Old MacDonald Had a Farm, but when he was doing that, man, I'm like, good God, man, they were truly just getting him to sing anything. But yeah, Elvis is pops up in this film, and he's half Indian. So right there, people are already gonna say, what the hell? Elvis is half Indian. I don't know about that, man. But don't worry, guys, it gets crazier. He's half Indian, and Burgess Meredith, Mickey himself, he's a descendant of great Indian warriors, and they put him in brown face to give him a red bandana, and it looks so awkward and it looks so out of place, but you just kind of go with it because it's 1968, and you're like, all right, this is ridiculous. There's no chance in hell that Elvis Presley or Burgess Meredith are descendants of any kind of Indian warriors, but whatever, you're watching the film, and it goes along. Anyways, LQ, now here's what I don't get. So, Elvis comes back to this town. He's loved. I mean, one of his strong suits is that he does have a real charisma, man. In all of his work, I think that's what makes Elvis not just such a pop culture icon, but you see him in these films, and it's just like, gosh, he's just so charismatic and likable. Even in a film like this where he's acting silly and goofy, it's just God. When he's hanging out with these guys, he's charming the girls. It's like, damn, man. He's like truly could have been. We're given better scripts and stuff. He could have been just a really solid movie star. I've given the good opportunities, man. I was talking to somebody recently about some of I don't even know why it came up. Coincidentally enough, actually, we were talking about Mick Jagger, and the Rolling Stones just happened to have a new song out as well. That was just a complete coincidence we happened to be talking about it. But I was mentioning stuff like him, I think he's really good in Performance, the Nicholas Roeg film, and I think I've never seen it, but I think he's in Fitzcarraldo. I'm trying to remember from the Werner Herzog documentaries that I had seen. I'm pretty sure that there was footage in Fitzcarraldo of him. But anyways, talking about musicians and actors. Anyways, so Elvis is playing this half Indian, and they got to prove to the government that this Indian kind of reservation, they know how to raise cattle, they can raise bulls. So Elvis has this prized bull, and L.Q. Jones in the film, he drunkenly barbecues the bull, and Elvis is screwed, man. He's like, oh my gosh, man, what are you doing? You ate our bull. So he gets another bull that's a lot slower. He's not as impressive, but you got to go along with it. And from there, you just get ridiculous hijinks, ridiculous scenes of awkward comedy. And the reason why I think this film has a weird kind of charm is that almost none of the comedy works, man. I mean, almost none of the intended comedy works. I mean, there's just dumb jokes. It's just, the movie ends on a dumb joke. Everyone's laughing. It's just ridiculous, man. The songs themselves, I don't know, man. He has this ridiculous song about being in the rain with these dogs in the car, and you're watching the scene, man, and Elvis is trying to get all these dogs together. The dogs are clearly looking at the casting crew, wondering what the hell is going on. Why am I being rained on? They're just dumping water on these dogs. Elvis is trying to get them all together. But the reason why I say this has this sort of weird charm in a way is because, the script just has this bizarre choices. You have these ridiculous fight scenes where they have these editing choices where you have guys literally jumping through the air, man. I'm reminded of, if you guys have seen King Kung Fu, that's an obscurity right there, man. Where the hell's the Blu-ray of that? You have these moments, and now that's a slapstick kind of comedy. So, you watch that, and you have guys flying through the air, and it's just ridiculous, man. You got a guy in a monkey suit running around. They're fighting on top of a Holiday Inn. And for that film, you kind of buy it. But for here, it's just all kinds of weird, awkward comedy. They have scenes like that. You have Elvis is with this. I forgot. Gosh, man, I'm losing it. I got all the names right here, and I just had it. I'm blanking on the name. Forgive me for a second. But he's going after this lady's daughter, and the lady is trying to seduce him, and he's like, "Nah, I want your daughter. I want your fresh 19-year-old daughter," and she is just not having it, man. It was Joan Blondell. I'm sorry, man. It was Joan Blondell. I'm blanking on the name for a second. It's funny. I was talking about Cincinnati Kid a while ago. I'm already forgetting the names. Forgive me, guys. Forgive me. I just realized I forgot to make coffee. Look at that. I try to have coffee when I do these episodes to kind of Got myself wide awake, but I guess this delicious seltzer water will have to do. These ridiculous scenes where she's going after him with a gun, she's trying to kill him, and it's not like there's any real strong pacing to the film, man. Scenes just kind of go on, and then there's a point where he runs away from everybody, and you think, all right, this has got to be the end of the film, right? And then he just drives right back into the film, and you're wondering, what is happening here, man? This is Nonsense City, USA, population, this whole town. It's bizarre editing choices. They're cutting to the... Anytime they were to, like, cut to somebody, it's like having a reaction shot. It reminded me of, like, Samurai Cop, because it was clear that the actors don't know what they were supposed to be reacting to. You know, like, there's a whole big part of the end, the very end of the film. It's a big, you know, finale, and everybody just kind of looks confused, and you're like, what the hell? What's going on here, man? But gosh, man, I mean, it is charming in a way. I can't possibly say that this is a very good film. It's ridiculous. It's silly. It's, you know, the songs are not very good. It's not his strongest hour, but my gosh, man, it really is. I really, you know, I kind of liked it in a weird way. You know, I haven't seen too much of his later work. I think this might be the latest of his work that I've seen, and so I can't really put it in any kind of comparison's sake, nor should I. You know, the film should stand on its own, but man, it's something else, man. In a weird way, I think I would kind of recommend it, because it's just so silly and so awkward, but it's it's ridiculous, man. Stay Awake Joe, 1968, man. And you know, so last night I was you know, if I'm gonna fall asleep to something, man, if I'm gonna put on a film or something, I don't want to watch anything too serious. You know, you want to watch something that you kind of can drift off to. If you miss a little bit, it's not the end of the world. So, you know, like this, Amazon Prime has a lot of really good stuff on there. I think they're the strongest streaming service that's not like, I mean, if you go on the Criterion channel, you go on Mubi, you know you're gonna get some real high end, high quality films, man. But you know, sometimes you don't want to fall asleep to anything that, for lack of a better term, you don't want to have to pay too much attention to. You don't want to watch a subtitled film if you're gonna be nodding off, because especially a film like that, you're gonna be, you know, you miss a little bit of dialogue and the whole thing's completely shot. So I was scrolling through on Amazon, I was like, all right, let me watch something kind of you know, not too serious, something kind of short, and I came across this film, and it was perfect timing, perfect runtime, I should say. It was only 79 minutes, it's a crisp, clean runtime. So I'm talking about this film from 1973. Talking about, what the hell was I talking about recently? I was talking about The First Time on the last Blu-ray episode, the Jacqueline Bisset film from 1969. I was talking about these late 60s, mid 70s kind of sex comedy films, man. Just a lot of ridiculous ones. I think it's something like Gas Pump Girls. It was just a silly film, man. You walk, it's like these girls, they're out of high school. But they always look 30, by the way. They're out of high school. They look like they're the teachers. Don't think about it too hard. But you have, like, just, you know, they're in high school in that film, and they're, you know, it's somebody plays a graduation prank where they pull off their gowns, and oh my god, they're naked. They have their shirt on underneath. Why the hell aren't they wearing a shirt or a bra underneath their gowns? They're just freewheeling it. But, you know, and instead of being like, oh my gosh, I'm so shocked, they're like, oh well, you know, we're all good looking, so it's all right. And it's just like, this is so ridiculous. They get out of high school, and they're trying to save this gas station business, and what better way than just to have sex with the customers? And hey, it works out. Spoiler alert. But yeah, that's a ridiculous film. But, you know, like I was saying with Stay Awake Joe, these ridiculous films, they have their kind of charm to them. You know, they get into the 80s, the films like Zapped and you know, Revenge of the Nerds is a little bit bigger and stuff. And just, yeah, you can't really think about these films too hard. You can't think about them in sort of a socio-political kind of state. They're just dumb kind of comedies, dumb kind of sex comedies that I've seen a lot of. But what I'm talking about this film, man, 1973, from Chuck Vincent, who is a name that maybe a lot of adult connoisseurs probably know. He directed this film, Blue Summer. I had no idea what this was. All I knew is that it was early 70s, 73. It was, like I said, 79 minutes. Looked like kind of a sex comedy thing. I was like, why not, man? You know, whether it's good or bad, what do I got to lose besides a little bit of my time, man? It's okay. So I'm watching this film, and this film is completely ridiculous, man. I have many questions about the film. Not many answers. So yeah, you have Chuck Vincent, who is writing and directing this film. Chuck Vincent has did a good amount of adult work. I probably most famously did Roommates from 1982. Who's in that film? That's Samantha Fox. That's right. Veronica Hart. Jamie Gillis is in that film. I thought Georgina Spivak. Nah, maybe not. I get some of the names mixed up sometimes, but I do apologize. I would actually recommend reading up the really solid piece in the Rialto Report about Chuck Vincent's film studio. It's if you just look that up, you look up Chuck Vincent Rialto Report, he'll come up there. But anyways, I'm watching this film. Now I got to say up front, I'm gonna get a lot of the names wrong because almost 95% of the cast are, you haven't seen him in anything else. Now I looked up a couple of these names. Now, the biggest name in this film would be Eric Edwards, who's also an adult film actor. He's been in plenty of stuff, man. He's just like, you look at his IMDb. If you consider yourself a fan of adult films, you know who he is. You've seen his work. He's directed a bunch. I'm not even gonna get into that, but he's the biggest one. But the main two guys, I don't remember their names. I don't remember the actors' names. But it's ridiculous. So, I mean, these guys, I don't know how old they are. They're supposed to be teenagers. Sure, why not, man? They're going on. Now, maybe it was because I was getting a little bit sleepier now. But I don't remember if they were going on a road trip or they actually were intending to go somewhere. They were talking about going to this cabin. And but they're just trying to get some girls, man. They got their van, with flowers on it and stuff. There's a lot of hippies and a lot of hippie kind of behavior. They're kind of acting like, and they're going out on the road, and it's ridiculous because it's one of the first scenes in the movie. They're driving, and these dudes are, they're cracking open cans of beers and they're driving, man. It's like, and they cut to a shot, and these guys, they got like a whole pile of beers, and they're talking about, hey man, if I get too tired, you'll have to take over. I'm like, my man, you're 6-7 beers in, you're driving this van. That's a terrible idea, man. What are you doing? But they're on the hunt for some ladies, man. And wouldn't you know it, they find two ladies right out of the gate, man. I mean, they really don't. It doesn't take them long at all. They pick up some hitchhikers, and it's also hitchhiking films of that time. Actually, I recommend the film that Arrow Video put out from the early 70s, mid 70s. What the hell's the name of it called? I think it's called Hitchhike from Hell or Hitchhiker from Hell. What the hell is it called? Oh my gosh, man! I'm gonna look this up. I know I'm gonna mess up the name. Hitchhike to Hell. Thank you, Internet, for helping me with that. I actually like that film quite a bit. You got different kinds of hitchhiking films from the 70s, man. You have like Hitchhike with Franco Nero, David Hess, and Hitchhike to Hell, which are more sinister kind of takes on it. Or you get films like this, like Blue Summer, or a film that I think is still very underappreciated and unfortunately out of print, but I imagine probably easy to find online if you really needed to watch it. The film Pickup, which is I don't even know if you would call it softcore or not. It's a very kind of hypnotic, dream-like film that maybe I'll talk about more in depth one day. I find something so alluring about that film and just so calming. I'm just a big fan of that film. Anyways, they pick up these two girls, and wouldn't you know it, they're good-looking gals. They're around the same age, and they want to have some fun too. And what's interesting about this film? So I'm watching this film, and I know nothing about the cast crew. I don't know, not knowing that it was George Stevens that George Stevens. Yeah, it was Chuck Vincent that directed it. And when you get to the sequences of the film where they're having sex, that really kind of raise some flags, because when you get a lot of these sex comedies, you're gonna get the teens hooking up or anything like that, or you'll have some sequences like that, some longer kind of sequences of the action and all that. But the way these scenes were directed, I mean, it straight up is softcore, man. Because the thing with that is that there's not enough softcore sequences in the film. There's only, I think, 2 or 3. But the way that it's shot, it really was like, wow, this is far more. I don't even want to say explicit, because it's softcore, so it's not totally explicit. But you watch some of these films, and with softcore, it's all simulated. So but the way that it's directed, I mean, these actors are having some sort of physical contact with one another, man. You're seeing, like I said, it's simulated, but they're not actually doing anything. But at the same time, it's like the way that this is angled. I mean, there's no doubt they're near each other's genitalia for real. So I was looking it up. I was like, are these adult actors or something, man? Because but these two main guys. Let's see here, Davy Jones and Bo White. I don't, who knows? That's even the real names. Now, Davy Jones has been in some adult films, but I don't know if he has actually done anything in those films now. Like, I'm looking here, and I look at like Deep Throat Part 2, which is an R-rated film. Now, I know there was hardcore sequences shot for that film, which I believe are now lost. So whether or not he actually did anything in that, could not tell you. I've actually not even seen Deep Throat Part 2, but I'm just saying that I know it's an R-rated film. And Bo White, I mean, he's been in some stuff, but I don't know if any of these. I mean, he's on episode of Starsky and Hutch, and this film, A Very Natural Thing from '74. I don't know what this is, man, but it's rated R, so. But yeah, I mean, it looks like, I mean, there is some sort of contact happening here, man, but it's just ridiculous, because then you have the comedy in this film that just doesn't work. It's so awkward, man. There's this running gag with, like, a biker dude, and they're like, "Where are you going?" He's like, and he's like, I forgot what he says. No, oh yeah, where are you going? Nowhere. You need gas? Yep. He barely says any lines, man, but he pops up throughout the film, and it kind of comes back around in the third act, and it's like supposed to be funny, man. Like, what is going on here? It's bizarre and it's strange, and yeah, it's sort of like you watch this film and it don't really. I mean, I'd say, I don't know. I don't know who the film is really for. Because teens, you go to watch to see some naked ladies. There's really not a whole lot of it, man. I mean, if you're trying to watch a film like this for the action, you have to wait quite a bit of time, man. It's not consistent throughout. That's why I wouldn't be surprised, man, if these sequences maybe were shot for something like a full-on softcore film, and then it didn't work out or something like that, and then they made it into an R-rated film. I really don't know. I mean, I guess this is IMDb list. This says X. There is a documentary that I have that I do want to watch, A Labor of Love, that I have on DVD. I think it's a documentary about the guys trying to make the adult film, and then it doesn't end up working out or something. So, I mean, I guess, a lot of these films you just watch for the nudity, but then you look at something like a nudie cutie kind of film, and yeah, I mean, you have steady amounts of nudity throughout, or, you watch these films from that time, and you go to the cinema to actually, see these ladies that you're not going to see anywhere else, but it takes a while for them to actually get going, man. And then, I don't know, there's just, you have moments in the film that are like action sequences, well, not even action sequences, but they get like tense, and you're like, what is going on with this direction, man? It feels like 10 different films going on here. But in a weird way, it's got a charm that, like I'm talking about with Stay Away Joe, I can't put my finger on it. I mean, it's ridiculous, but it's a film that, what I like about Amazon Prime is they have all these weird kind of oddities that are not on any kind of streaming service that, I mean, this is recommended to me because I'm watching these kinds of films. I mean, I'm watching these kind of like sex comedies from that era, and maybe it could be because I just watched the first time on Amazon not too long ago, so probably recommended me that in that case. But yeah, keep an eye out on a lot of this stuff, man. As for the availability of this, I mean, it looked good on Amazon. I mean, it looked like just a straight film print. I don't know if this has ever even been on VHS or DVD. I really don't know. Actually, let me see if I can pull this up here, because so it looks like it is on DVD. That's good. From, I think, oh, that's cool. Film Detective put this out. Okay, they're doing some cool Blu-rays, man. So this is available. So that must be where they got this from. But it's a cool film, man. It's don't think about the plot too hard. It's just about guys who are just trying to get laid, and just some dumb comedy, some dumb adventures, man. You watch it. I don't want to say you turn your brain off. That's you don't turn your brain off when you watch these films. When you watch these films, you make a conceited effort to do so, man. I mean, it's not like there was a theater in New York that I think closed down during the pandemic, that I don't remember the name of the theater, though I do apologize, but it was cool what they were doing. I mean, it was a very low-key kind of thing. It was a 3-screen theater. One was showing straight porn, one was showing gay porn, and one was showing feature films. And there was no schedule. They would just run them just all day and stuff. And gosh, man, that would have been cool to go to. Just to at least check it out, man, because I think it had survived for a while, but unfortunately during the pandemic a lot of those cinemas were shutting down and stuff, and that's why make sure you're I mean, these cinemas, they rely on people to come to them, man, because we were lost a lot of cinemas, lost a lot of, not just cinemas, just lost a lot of businesses during the pandemic. Restaurants weren't able to make their ends meet, so to speak. There was a restaurant that I used to like quite a bit that closed down during the pandemic. That's why it really just small businesses in general, just do what you can. Sometimes it's you gotta go a little bit out of your way to do so, man. It's what it is. Just support the little guys, and and if the service is good, man. I mean, if they're treating you like, if they're being jerks to you, then don't go back or anything like that. I'm not saying don't support them just to support them, man. If they're jerks, they're being whatever like that, then then just don't go back. But anyway, I kind of kind of went off there, man. I don't have time to talk about the last thing I was going to talk about, or at least the main. I was going to talk about a film that I actually did watch recently that I really liked from filmmaker Amin Barani. I watched this film Man Push Cart in 2005, but I think I'll save that for another time, because I watched that. Actually, I was going to talk about that last week, and then my laptop, it was giving me some issues, but I'll save that for next week, or I'll save it for another time, because I want to talk about a couple of his films. I want to talk about mainly three of his films, but I'll talk about a fourth of his as well. He's a filmmaker who I've realized how much I really like him. And actually, I'm looking at his producer credit here, and he's actually produced a couple pretty solid films. I watched that film Seven Prisoners for 2021, which I really liked a lot, actually. It's actually a pretty underrated film, I think. I don't remember where it's from. It may have been, I'm not going to try to guess. But it's, these three teenagers who get trapped in, like, this junkyard, and they end up being involved with this guy who's, like, forcing them to stay there. And this guy kind of takes one of the kids under his wing, and he's got to, like, kind of go back and forth between, like, getting his friends out and working with this guy. Very good film, man. I actually really like that a lot. But it was a producer on that. And a film that I watched this year that's gotten a little bit of attention. I remember hearing about it a little while ago, and then have not heard about it since. This film Joyland. I don't remember where it's from as well, but it's this guy who's trying to take care of his family, but he needs a job, so he ends up working as, like, a dancer for like this like production kind of company thing. But then there's some problems there, and that was a good film as well. That is worth watching should you get the opportunity. But well, man, that was a quick half hour. My gosh, man. NFL season's back, guys. This episode would have been up yesterday, but my gosh. Oh my gosh, man! Just that is like the NFL is like football's like crack, man. Once I start watching, I just can't stop. So I try to do my best to get these episodes out in a fairly decent time. But I appreciate you guys listening. Appreciate anything really, man. I appreciate you guys just checking it out. All right, now I'm starting to lose my train of thought, so I'm gonna end it here before I embarrass myself. Cheers, guys! You have a good rest of your day, rest of your week. Make sure you're getting the job done, working on your goals, on your dreams, all that good stuff, man. And I will be back next time. Goodbye.